The same thing follows in the Jaws sequel, because it's like, okay, it's just another shark, and then we're going to watch 4, 5, or 6 random attacks and everything, and then Murray Hamilton is going to say, don't close the beach again, and then Brody's going to have to go out there and fight this beast again. Now, having said that, I actually think Jaws 2 the ending is horrible. The ending of Jaws 2 is horrible. What ruins Jaws 2 is the way they kill the shark. It's just so ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I keep waiting for Fonzie to water ski over him, all right? It literally jumps the shark. I mean, but the shark looks the same as the one from Happy Days, all right? The beach looks the same. I totally expect to see Fonzie flying over the climax. But, but Jonas Schwartz actually did a pretty good job up until that time, all right, by spacing out the attacks. And he has the one attack that's terrific, the one with Ann Dusenberry, where it's like the young guy and the girl and the sailboat. That attack is good enough to be in the first movie. You know, where the shark gets the guy and like heads towards the boat. That's good enough to be in the first movie. That's the one attack sequence that is good as the first film. That literally could have been in the first movie. But the thing about it is Jaws was much more than random attacks by the shark until they finally get their shit together to attack him. You know, it had all this characterization, and it had all this comedy, and it had these 3 magnificent characters, and it was about their fighting and their bonding. And so it was just much more than all of that. However, even for people who put down Jaws 2, there is something kind of great in Jaws 2 that can't be denied, and that is getting to watch Roy Scheider play his iconic character, Matt Brody, all right, one more time, just to see him, like, you know, be in the uniform and, like, yeah, playing that iconic character, one more chance at it is pretty cool.
I don't know if I've ever been so terrified by the end of a movie as Philip Kaufman's Invasion of the Body Snatchers the first time I saw it.
Well, you know, it's interesting. That movie's been remade a bunch of times, but I pretty much like all the remakes. I like Don Siegel's original. I like Philip Kaufman's San Francisco self-help guru one, and I like Abel Ferrara's one a lot. But it was interesting. I was showing a girlfriend the Philip Kaufman version. And so I kind of explained to her the mythology of the Body Snatchers. We watched the movie, and she really liked it. Then a little bit later, I showed her the original with Don Siegel, the Don Siegel one. And she really liked that, too. So again, I'm having a situation where I'm kind of introducing this movie and this kind of famous horror film science fiction mythology to somebody who wasn't familiar with it, and she really responded. But having seen both of those movies quite a few times, watching them anew and watching them through somebody else's eyes, I saw something this last time in both versions that I'd never seen before. In watching it this last time, both movies, I actually think the pod people maybe get a bad rap. The movies treat the pod people as sinister, but there's not really anything they do in the movie that comes across as overtly sinister. It's pretty much almost like Starship Troopers. It's a very human being specific sense of speciesism to look at them in an evil way. Here's the deal. If you think that the pod people are killing the humans and replacing them, if you think they're committing murder, well, that's one thing. But, you know, by the way, you know, flowers, vines, weeds, you know, they do that with other living plant life. They do it with trees. Trees will do it with something else. Something grows out of something else. In nature, that happens all the time. That's what they are. They're vegetables. But most of us probably consider that it's our consciousness is what makes us who we are, not this undefinable thing called soul, which sounds more like something a poet would talk about than anybody really would talk about. It's my knowledge. It's the things that I filled my head with. It's the things that I've cared about. It's the things that I learned, the things that I studied. It is my consciousness that makes me who I am. Well, when the pod people replace you, your consciousness goes on. Everything you ever learned, everything you've ever known is passed on to the pod people. The only thing you don't have are human emotions. Now, the first movie and the second movie try to present that as a bad thing. Oh, you don't have human emotions. They don't cry. They don't feel sad. They don't laugh. No one's laughing. Well, yes, that's one way to look at it, But then there's also a whole lot of other horrible human emotions that have made the world horrible. Well, they don't have them either. And that's never talked about. The pod people are simply trying to exist, and they work together, and they work together as a unit. The pod people don't have emotions. And so, like, for instance, in the Donald Sutherland version, there's never any vengeance on their part towards Donald Sutherland. They just want to turn him. It doesn't matter how many pod people he's killed up until now. It doesn't matter what a problem is. They always they capture him, but they're never like, we're going to teach you a lesson. No, they just want him to assimilate. They just want to assimilate. They want to be one. Here's the deal. Trees will do it. Something else. Something grows out of something else. That's what they are. They're vegetables. Here's the deal. Trees will do it. Something else. Something grows out of something else. That's what they are. They're vegetables. All right. When it came to especially a combination of asked for all the time, requested a lot by the customers, and that we were also precious about. Because he threw in that little last part at the end. The two most requested films at Video Archives in Manhattan Beach before they were ever out on video. And it's not even a question. We know what the two most requested movies are. It's not, we have to rack our brains. It's obvious. The two most requested movies in Manhattan Beach were John Milius's Big Wednesday, written and directed by the great John Milius, years before it came out on video cassette. And, you know, for a white boy beach community in the 80s, Led Zeppelin's The Song Remains the Same was number 2. That shows you how much Big Wednesday was important to that it's number 2 to Song Remains the Same. But for 3 or 4 years before they came out, they were the most requested films that people came in. Do you have Song Remains the Same? Do you have Big Wednesday? So much so that we never bought multiple copies of a library title when it became available. When Big Wednesday became available, we bought 4 copies when it came out because we knew the demand would be that important.